And we are live. Hello, everybody. It is I, Reija, from the channel The Bookfinch. If you have found yourself here, you have found my channel. And anyway, welcome to the January Stitch and Bitch episode, the first one in 2021, which is great. Hopefully this year will be magnificent, at least in comparison to the last one. And
I'm already feeling better.
yes, yeah.
Aren't we all?
So how about we start with introductions? Let's start with Bree.
Oh, okay. Hi, I am Bree Reads Books. That's my handle here on YouTube, where I have a BookTube channel. It's how you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I mostly read science fiction and fantasy, and I talk a little bit about political theory sometimes. So that's me.
Next up, Diana.
Hi, I'm Diana. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Bookish Die, and I also read a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and particularly a lot of Star Wars.
And Rachel.
My name is Rachel. My channel is Kalanati, and I usually talk about lots of science fiction and fantasy and everything else. I am on hiatus until sometime in February, though, but you can watch all my past videos.
Yes, now is a great time to watch all of those backlists. Like I don't even want to tell anyone how incredibly cramped my watch later list is right now. It is insane.
I gave up this morning. I gave up and like trimmed down my watch later list from over 100 to like 60.
Fair.
I mean, I've never really gone past like 95 or something because I multitask anyway. So when I have videos up, I will also like do other things. So sometimes I might not even watch the video, but I will listen to it and I will be like, oh yes, which is incredibly stupid when I'm watching like costume videos where they're actually making stuff and I'm listening to it and then I'm like, hold that thought. I will just quickly go and rewind because I missed this scene.
Yep.
So speaking of, what is everybody making? Will Di start?
Sure. I'm still working on the flaxseed sweater. I have the arms split off. I'm now working on the body. And yeah, I am happy, even though I did have to completely unravel most of the yoke late last year because I had misread the directions and had done a lot more purling than what was supposed to happen.
It looks really good, though. I love that color.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I decided for my first sweater, I'd go with a Knit Picks yarn just for something that's more inexpensive and that I can easily, like, if I misjudged how much yarn I needed, it wouldn't like I could easily get more yarn.
Mm-hmm. Which one of the yarns are you using?
I'm using the Provincial Tweed, I think, and the color, if I remember correctly, is Frozen Pond.
How do you like it? Because I've been kind of eyeing their tweeds.
I like it. I think so it says worsted, but I think it's more of a DK weight than a worsted.
Okay.
Like it doesn't, I had to adjust the gauge,
Mm-hmm.
or I had to like switch, because the needles I had to go down a needle size to get the correct gauge. But yeah, I like it. I really like the colors. I like the little bits of purple and yellow flecked throughout the blue. So, and it's been nice to work with.
Cool. Oh, hi, Joe. Hi, Kenan.
Hello, everyone. I mean, I still always like giggle to myself when everyone says like, yeah, I had to do something to fix the gauge, and I'm like, fixing the gauge. How lovely. What a thought. Because I never bothered to do
For
that.
scarves, I don't worry about it, but for like sweaters, I was like, I really do want to get the gauge right.
Yeah.
On my current project, like every sweater project I've done, like the past 3 of them, I've done a swatch and I'm like, okay, I got gauge. I'm going to use this needle. And then I actually make it. And I'm like, how am I not on gauge? I should have gone down a needle size. So this current one I'm working on, I just started making it. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I have no idea what gauge I'm working at.
That's why you have to try on as you go through your projects.
Yeah. Well, I like.
I don't know how to, because I don't think I can try it on. I'd have to like switch because the loop is too tight for me to get over my shoulders.
Usually what I do when I want to try things on is I have like a similar circular. I usually have to be the same size, just similar, and I knit like halfway onto it.
Yeah.
And then that gives you enough space to try it on. Because if you like try to put it onto waist yarn, it's so time consuming to then go back and like pick up all the
Yeah.
stitches.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm working on.
Nice.
Rachel, you knitting machine.
I've been obsessed with this one. This is the first time I've ever used a tweed yarn, which is why I was asking Di about that. So yeah, this is a pattern by Tiff Nealon called the Coastal Crop Raglan, I think. And I don't know if you can even see that.
Kind of.
Is it like a cable detail?
It's like a faux braid up the side of the body. It's really fun.
Colorway. It's like burnt brick.
It's a really, really deep purple color.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got like a really orange
purple.
light right about here. Yeah.
That is like right up your color palette alley, so I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah. This is Olan, which is that Irish hand-dyed yarn company I discovered in Dublin. Turns out my local yarn store carries Olan.
I'm always just so impressed with your work. What can I say?
Bree, if Rachel is ready, do you want to go ahead and tell us about your what you're working on?
Sure. So I have some odds and ends that need to be done. So I just finished this brown chunky cable knit hat. There we go. We can see a little bit more detail for my brother that needs the ends woven in. But I am currently working on the second of 2 fingerless gloves. So the first one is done and just needs finishing. And the second one is on my needles.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I am just about ready to split for the thumb gusset. So.
I am currently working on something that is not the Scarf of Doom. I am making a chunky cat bed.
Oh yeah.
And it is, I'm making it from like old raggedy t-shirt scraps. So basically me and partner went through all of our t-shirts and picked every t-shirt that had like holes and was kind of gross and grummy. And we chose those, and I basically cut them up to like yarn, and now I'm making a cat bed. And we shall see how it turns out, because like there has been some fighting over territory lately, and we need more beds. This is like this needs to be cat bed heaven.
Fun fact, my cat bed is a hand-me-down from Rachel, who years and years ago brought me one from her parents' house, I think.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
That was ages ago.
It was a long time ago.
Do you only have a single cat bed?
They prefer to sleep like on the cushions or in like one of them really loves my computer chair, and that's like where she sleeps forever and ever. So they prefer
Yeah.
the unexpected.
Okay. Because ours is like MOSFET has a little like dedicated hidey hole that only he uses. And then Hedda has like this tower that she has commandeered for herself, like all levels. None of the other cats use it because it's hers. And Tesla has just commandeered one whole chair in the living room. It is Tesla's chair.
Yep, sounds about right.
So what has everybody been reading lately? Rachel, can you start? Let's go in.
I'm reading like 3 things right now. No, I'm like 4 things right now. I'm trying to think. I've been reading the Reluctant Royals series by Alyssa Cole, and I'm on the 3rd one, A Prince on Paper right now. And Johann.
How did you like Duke by Default?
That is my favorite one so far. But then it introduced Johann at the end, and I was like, obviously, I need to read the 3rd book.
I love Sword Bay.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I love your enthusiasm.
I was really nervous about this series because I'm not the only person who has a problem with A Princess in Theory, right? I thought the Bistro.
It's my least favorite of the 3.
He's an arrogant jerk, and I just don't like him. And he's basically a stalker.
Yeah, that one is my least favorite of the 3, but I loved A Duke by Default, and then A Prince on Paper just like has fantastic like fake dating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for fake dating, and especially enemies to lovers fake dating is like my sweet spot.
So you should definitely read A Prince on Paper because it is very good for that. Yeah, Shannon, I would recommend just like if you're having a problem with A Princess in Theory, I would recommend just skipping ahead because I don't like, aside from like the endgame stuff, there's nothing really that you need to know. Like there's some stuff with Portia that happens in A Princess in Theory that like sets up A Duke by Default, and there's some stuff like, but they explain it. I think it's been a while since I've read A Duke by Default, but I think they explain some of what happened. So I think you're good with just skipping it and going to the next 2 books.
Yeah, they refer to it pretty early on, so you know kind of what would happen. But yeah, so I'm reading A Prince on Paper, and I just started reading When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Niveau, which I
loved.
I'm also loving it. I mean, it's got really cute mammoths in it.
It has like the tiny mammoths, and then it has the super large mammoths. And I'm imagining the tiny mammoths as just like little fluffs of fur.
No.
Like,
So I started
the bodies of mammoths.
Mm-hmm. And then I've been reading. I just started The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 9.
Oh, I still haven't read.
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but if you know what happens in Volume 8, like this really major thing happens to one of the main characters, and I'm like, now what?
Yeah, I'm kind of like I have read up to volume 7 in that series, and I have volume 8. I didn't know that volume 9 had already come out, so I need to go pick that up. But anyway, like volume 7 already was like giving me heart palpitations, and because it started to go in a direction that was kind of dark, and I know that volume 8 is gonna wreck me, and that is why I haven't read it yet, because I just know. I know that when I get there, I'm just gonna be heartbroken for everyone.
Yep. And then the last thing that I'm reading right now, I'm listening to an audiobook, The Way Home by Mark Boyle, which is something that Andrea from Infinite Text had recommended. I forget in which video. Anyway, it's Boyle has done like a lot of experiments, like trying to live without money and stuff. He's Irish. And this book, The Way Home, is about how he basically went completely off grid. He got a small holding back in Ireland and decided to live there in a house that he and his girlfriend built by hand. They have no electricity, no running water, and he's taken a vow to basically not use any technology. And it's really interesting. Like I don't want to live without electricity. I don't want to live without indoor plumbing, but
No.
he has to do everything the old-fashioned way. So like he agreed to write newspaper columns about the experience, but he had to hand write them and mail them through like the postal office to the magazine or the newspaper, and then it's like the old-fashioned way. He sends it in and he has no idea what happens to it after that. In order to have him respond to the reader's comments to his column, the editor has to like solicit handwritten letters from people and then forwards them on to his place in Ireland, and he responds to them longhand. Just stuff like that. It's fantastic. Huh?
What was this called? Sorry.
The Way Home.
Way Home.
I think the subtitle is like Tales from a Life Without Technology or something.
Okay.
It seriously makes me want to like quit social media and just write letters to friends.
I mean, just opening up Twitter makes me want to quit social media. So, I mean, I'm always super excited when now I only have Twitter on my phone. I have it no routed on our network, basically. So I can't access it on my computer. So, and it's been really helpful. Like I finished my thesis because I didn't have Twitter. Yay!
Yep.
I deleted Facebook from my phone, I think last year. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Like I still can access it on my computer, but like I don't keep it open just because it like sucks up so much memory on my computer. And I'm just like, I'll check it like once or twice throughout the day. And it made things a lot better.
I
just deleted it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of family that only really connect through Facebook. And so it's hard for me to like justify deleting it, but just keeping how I access it, like minimize how I access it helped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's healthy.
Yeah. So Brie, what are you reading?
So I just finished Minor Mage by T. Kingfisher, and anything by Ursula Vernon is always a joy. And I am a little over halfway through The City We Became.
Nice.
I have been struggling a little bit with some fatigue, and so I've been like napping every day, and it has been cutting into my reading time substantially.
So I can go next. I just finished reading, just like yesterday, I finished reading The Siren Deaths by Martha Wells, which is the third book in the Books of the Raksura series. I read The Cloud Roads. I think I read it in 2019. And then I took a break. And now I read the second book and this third book back to back in the span of like 5 days. And I can't help it. I am too invested in the goings on of the court politics and the love lives of my murderous lizard babies. I need to know, like, human characters planning to have kids, I can take it or leave it. My murderous lizard babies planning to have a clutch of their own, give me more, I need it. So that's been great. And now I'm trying to decide whether to read The Killing Moon by N.K. Jemisin or Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, because both of them are due at the library on the same day, and I should probably read them both. This one I'm not as excited about because of all the things.
I will say, like, I read The Killing Moon is great. I love that series. I bounced off of A Deadly Education. I read like the first chapter, and it is very info dumpy. It doesn't.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, like I feel like because I haven't read the Tremor series, but like with both Uprooted and Spinning Silver, Novik did a much better job of introducing the reader to the world without it being like just one big info dump. And the first chapter was just the main character like explaining everything, and like it didn't really like do it for me, so I just like turned it in and didn't bother.
Yeah,
I bounced off of just the whole style and voice of it. I tried to read snippets of it when it came out, and I was like,
This is interesting because this is going to be one of my next audiobooks, and I had heard from someone that the audio is actually not very good. But like the guy who does the audio has kind of an annoying voice.
oh,
You got a guy to do it, not a woman.
Yeah, I'm always a little like what's the word? Like confused when a book with a female main character gets a guy as the narrator for the audio. It's like oh, okay, well, okay.
interesting.
But I'm gonna give it the first chapter. Like I'm going to give both of these the first chapter treatment, and whichever I enjoy more after the first chapter, I will continue on at that point. I mean, I will read these both, but I have this huge pile of library books, and currently my library is like, it's not like closed, but they are not enforcing the due dates. So basically every time a due date approaches, they just kind of postpone the due date because they don't want you necessarily to come to the library if you don't have to, because of the like lockdown restrictions and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically you are only allowed to go to the library to pick up holds and to return stuff. And you know, they constantly keep like pushing back the due date, and I'm like, well, I have so much time to read all of these now.
Ron says that a woman does the audio of A Deadly Education.
Oh.
Like I said, this is just what I've like heard from a friend who had said that they listened to it. Ron also says that they loved it. Did you love the audio reading? Was the audio adaptation, do you think, good?
Well, also, like, if you don't love the narrative voice in Deadly Education, you should give up right away.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell right away I was going to hate the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even that, like, I would hate the main character. It was just, like, this writing style was just, it read like bad fic.
Ooh.
It read like what?
It, like, in terms of it just being, like, really info dumpy, it read like sometimes with bad fic where it can just be like, yeah, everything. And
yeah, I mean, it's also like, from what I've heard that it's like super expositional and kind of like basically dumps characters in mid-scene in order to explain stuff. So it's kind of like info dumpy in that sense. And I'm like, I am super like character driven. Like I want my world building and like information delivery done through characters in a way that is like more subtle in a sense. Like for example, like let's say like I recently read Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri, and I loved it. And there the world building is done in very like subtle ways, in like ways in which the characters react to events and things. And you are not necessarily getting huge amounts of explanations about stuff. You just kind of, you get enough information that you can piece things together. And then later on, you might get more information that you can build upon. And I much prefer that method. But I think it's also like what's the word? Your mileage may vary type of situation.
Yeah.
What are you reading, Dai?
Well, yesterday I started and finished the Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lemberg, which I adored. It was
I want to read that so bad.
Good. It was just so like introspective, like hopeful, and like I loved the main characters. I thought the world building was really, really interesting, and I really liked how it like had a variety of different types of queer experiences. So it wasn't like there's one true way to be like a queer person or be a trans person, but it was just like accepting of all the like of different ways of being. And it was just, like I said, it was really lovely and hopeful, and I'm definitely nominating it for Best Novella for the Hugos.
Ooh.
And then in terms of other things I've read, I read Haunted Heroine by Sarah Kuhn earlier this month, which I really enjoyed. Deadly Education is in the modern, it's basically dreary fanfic.
Draco Harry. For those of you unaware of the acronyms.
Yeah. But Haunted Heroine was really great. I love her Heroine Complex series. And this one is the premise is there's something weird going on at a Bay Area women's college, which is essentially Mills College, but like modified because Sarah Kuhn went to Mills. And so Evie Tanaka and her friend Aveda Jupiter have to investigate, and it's a lot of dealing with like regret and how do you like move on from your regrets. And I'm gonna have to go and try and let my cat in soon because he's mad the door's closed. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was quite lovely. And then I've also read the first two Star Wars High Republic books that have come out, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule and A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland, and I really enjoyed both of them. If folks like Star Wars but want something like different, this is set like 200 some odd years before the Phantom Menace, and it's a whole, aside from like Yoda, who it's a whole different cast of characters, and it's just like a really interesting concept, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it.
I don't think Hugo nominations is open yet.
No, it's not open.
Yeah.
I don't think they've announced any deadlines because it probably depends on when they're actually going to hold Worldcon, and they're still contemplating moving it out to December. So I hope that we have more time given that, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I'm casually, like cautiously optimistic that there might be a live event, but also I'm not holding my breath for it, and I'm not making concrete plans for it.
I will say, if they're trying to do it in person, DC in December is much better than DC. Like DC in August, like is like just absolutely miserable. Would not recommend.
I mean, you are in a swamp in August.
Are there mosquitoes?
Yes, it's just like humid. It is.
No, that's a no from me. It's
very sticky.
I don't like sticky at the best of times.
Joe is reading Ambiguity Machines. I freaking love that collection. That means you haven't read Requiem yet because it's the last one. And I think that's like the best piece in there. I nominated that novella for the Hugo Award when it came out a couple years ago.
I mean, I'm personally super excited about getting to nominate this year because the Lodestar Award is gonna be like normally I don't even read that much YA fantasy to be able to nominate, and now I have like at least 3 things I can nominate that I think were very good. And yes, Elazzo is one of them.
I kind of am hoping it's a later nomination period just because I have a lot of 2020 releases that I still need to read, but they're all at like not physically with me right now.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like I'm just so behind on all of my 2020 releases that like things that I would have read in a normal year, and then 2020 was just a no brain space year.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
have so much catching up to do.
I mean, for a lot of people, I can imagine it's going to be harder to get hold of some stuff to read before the nomination deadline. What with like library closures and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, I will heavily rely on any sort of voting packet whenever the shortlist comes out. Because yeah,
I know Nerds of a Feather has released like a very long, like a decently long list of stuff that they enjoyed that's Hugo eligible. So
they always do great lists. I love them.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using that to kind of direct my reading in the next couple of months, just to make sure that like I have a sense of like what's available or like what is there. And then also Renee's excellent Hugo nomination spreadsheet.
I mean, I am super glad that they're testing out the video game category this year because I get to nominate Hades for best.
I know. I'm so excited to nominate.
I'm like, oh. I noticed, like, I got the true ending of Hades, and then I was informed that there is a true ending, which I haven't gotten yet, and now I'm like, you mean to tell me that I still need to play? I don't mind.
But am I horrible if I say that my favorite game of last year was Bug Snacks, where you go onto an island and you eat snacks that turn into your limbs?
I mean,
it's super weird. Like, that sounds like a weird premise, and the story is weirder. Like,
I mean, to be fair, Animal Crossing is also eligible in the Hugo video game category, so you know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna get shortlisted for sure.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling like the 2 games with the most nominations are going to be Hades and Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, I mean Hades for sure. It gave us the polyamorous throuple that we needed, and it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just a ton of 2020 stuff that I still need to read. And like, I still haven't read Murderbot just because like 2020 was such a mind screw that I just like didn't get around to reading Network Effect.
What is Echo Brown? Shannon
It's
mentioned
Brown Girl Unlimited, I think. Or Black Girl Unlimited. I think that's the title of it. Pulling up my library to double check.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, so it was Marinez, I think it was her top book of the year when she was doing her top 15. So it does sound really good. It's called Black Girl Unlimited, and it's like autobiographical but magical realism, and it sounds really good.
I really want to get to Black Sun.
Oh, Black Sun is so good. That I think was my top book last year. Just
I want to read it. It's on my shelf. I need to get to it, but right now
if
it's
anybody
just
wants
that
to
all those
bloody read
library
Black
books.
Sun, let me know.
I will say, yeah, I will say for Black Sun, if you can get the audiobook, I highly recommend it just because they have 4 different narrators voicing the 4 main protagonists. And it adds to it. Like, I love that they were able to get 4 Indigenous actors to voice the different characters.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for book 2 in this series. Like, book 1 ends on a very, like, it ends on a bit on a cliffhanger. So, like, Rebecca Rowe.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I've curbed my expectations of the ending because I feel like I always have trouble when books kind of like if it's a series, like I wanted to build up to a sequel, but I also wanted to sort of like be able to stand on its own, especially a first book in a series. So it's like
it's on my TBR for February, so yeah.
I mean, let's see what my February TBR is going to look, because I need to film my first episode of my new game that I made.
Ah.
I have a hard time with TBRs just because I tend to be like a mood reader more than anything else. And so it's like, what am I, and also just what do I have out from the library that's due soonest is like the other big motivating factor for me.
Yes, I feel that one.
That's like why I finally picked up and read the 4 Profound. Like I wanted to read it, like I had checked it out, but it wasn't until I was looking at my overdrive and I was like, oh, I have less than 4 days to read this. Might as well just get on it.
That is why I started when the tiger came down the mountain this morning, because I've got like 24 hours left to read it before I lose the ebook.
I mean, I also like there's this weird feeling where like currently I try to desperately finish all of the books that I have, but like it's just like the Raksura books are calling me. There were only the first 3 at my local library, and I think they hate me now because I just purchased Request the whole rest of the series, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we will buy them." And then I found like the short story collections that are also part of the series, and I requested those as well. And now they have like 5 purchase requests from me. So it's like, oh, okay.
So how is your interlibrary loan system?
Well, my library system is a metropolitan library system that covers like 4 different towns. So I can order any book from like that's available basically. And then I can purchase requests for those libraries. But I do know that the one particular city that I tend to do my purchase requests for, first of all, they have a large budget because all the rich people live here. And second of all, they tend to have a very lenient view of fantasy. So, like, there's only been one time where they denied my purchase request, and that was because they had already ordered the book. So, and another
That's pretty
time.
awesome, though.
Yeah, another time they declined a request was that their budget was kind of limited at that time because all the Finlandia nominees had just been announced, or the shortlist had been announced, so they had to order in all the Finlandia nominees, which is the most prestigious literary award in Finland. So they had a huge ton of orders to get to because I don't know if anybody even cares about Finlandia awards, but like apparently libraries have to order them in when they're announced.
I'm not surprised. Shannon, are you doing purchase requests in like your library's overdrive or like directly to the library? I'm curious because I mostly do interlibrary loans to like my physical library branch, but I've started doing a lot more purchase requests, recommendations in the Overdrive app. And I'm having luck with that. It's something that Paul said at one time where like some libraries actually keep track of how many times a certain title is recommended, and then they'll use that to base like what they're actually going to buy. So I've been trying to be more diligent about that. What were you saying, Brie?
Oh, I was saying that that's a really sensible way for them to do that.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
And I've been surprised at how quickly some of my recommendations come through because I'm like, clearly they were waiting for like the right number of people to ask for it. So.
Yeah, I tend to recommend a lot of new new books that I want to read that I don't want to order just because I have a budget. And I go through the Los Angeles Public Library, and they're really good about buying a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. This is actually one of my tricks for not buying too many books now, is that whenever I want something very badly, I submit like an interlibrary loan request to the library, and I'm like, I can't buy it because I've asked for it.
Yeah, I don't actually know about our interlibrary loan system, like if I can order books. Like I know I can order books from another city's library system, but that usually like you have to pay like €1 or something to get it, or I don't know how that
Even
works.
here in the US, sometimes you have to pay for ILL.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where you are.
Yeah, and I think for my library, I feel like they stopped doing ILL recently. I could be wrong, but like I feel like it's not something that they advertise. Yeah, I don't think my local public library does ILL, so I tend to rely heavily on accessing the Los Angeles Public Library's Overdrive through my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like we now have like the Libby app, so I could basically just put in a bunch of like other Finnish library systems into that and just access their like digital libraries. So that's one way to do it. But so far I haven't had problems like with access, which is also something that I always struggle with when I'm like, if people are talking about access in the book community. We have such a good library system here that I sometimes forget that not all countries have the same library systems, and not all countries prioritize their library systems.
Yeah. Well, it's been really interesting for me to talk to Joe about, he's talking about his experience with libraries, is like even if you have access to a library system, they may not just operate in the way that you thought they were going to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I've had to kind of like sit with my own privilege in a sense, because like here the library system is basically part of the Equality Act, which is basically like it is the constitutional right of every person to have the same chance, same opportunity for education, living, and whatever. So it's like, so basically that's why, like, you know, public schools here are like free and stuff. Library is free. So it's like something that the government already prioritizes as part of the program to keep the class divide from getting bigger.
What's it like having a government that cares about that?
No,
I don't know. I actually do know, but like I think the biggest issue is that I tend to take it for granted. Mm-hmm. Like, because you live with it, so it's kind of like, it's super surprising when you hear that things are not done the same way in other places, and it's shocking. And it's also like, for example, my friend who lives in Germany, she told me that a huge amount of their libraries are like controlled by the church. So it's basically like the church is curating the reading material and deciding what goes into the libraries. Not in all cities, but for example, in her city. And I was like, wow, I didn't like that's so, like, you don't even think about that when you live in a system that's like, that is so that works for you in a way that you don't have to think about how it is for others. Yeah, this is like the whole, like, I've recently started thinking about access, and especially in regards to like with the recent talks about like book piracy and stuff, which like I'm not an advocate of piracy, but also like I do see that piracy is a symptom of access issues and service issues.
Yeah, definitely.
But I also like in a sense, I do think that knowledge should be accessible to everyone. But at the same time, I'm also of the mind that books, in some shape or form, are a luxury item in a sense. But I also do think that, like, for example, you could always like invest in digital ways of like putting forward books. But it's like it's an issue. Like, who gets to decide? What are the laws, etc. Like it's a mess. Also, publishing is a mess.
Yeah. Yep.
And especially when it comes to digital releases, publishing is a mess.
Yeah.
Can we just outlaw DRMs? Like, so how has everyone's January gotten started? Like, how is your year going so far? Before we start talking about media and stuff, how is your year going?
It was going okay, and then January 6th happened, and then
that was
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a little bit of a roller coaster.
because like I had stayed up really late, like I had stayed up decently late the night before watching the Georgia election, because I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, like it was like 4 a.m. with the Georgia election result out east, and for me it was like 1 a.m. And then the 6th happened because I had no meetings that morning. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna watch the election certification like as background noise. And then yeah.
I mean,
So
I had gotten to sleep. Like, I had gone to sleep, and then I woke up around like, was it midnight or something? I woke up, and then I made the mistake of going on to Twitter and seeing what was going on. And I was like, what? I went to sleep and I woke up to a complete shit show. And then after that, I couldn't sleep. So I just basically ranted on Discord with my friend Jenna. And we were like, what's happening?
So
I missed it all actually happening because I was at work. And like I got off work and logged into the news and was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I was at work, but it all happened basically over my lunch break. And I had decided to take a nap over lunch because, again, fatigue, the aforementioned fatigue. And I woke up and I was like, I go to bed for like 30 minutes and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I had no meetings, and so I was just using, because I'm like, oh, even with the dickheads objecting, like it'll still be like decent background noise.
Oh, that was just I mean, like, after November, I was like, thank God. Now I will finally have some peace and quiet. The news will be quiet, and like stuff like I don't have to be afraid what someone has said on Twitter that's made global news or anything. And then like with everything, I was like, I feel like it's like obviously I don't actually feel that way, but it kind of feels like a personal vendetta. Like, you are not allowed to rest.
Yeah.
The subsequent watching of Trump jumping from Twitter account to Twitter account, desperately trying to reach the people, was pretty solid.
That was pretty Like,
It was hilarious.
Think about, someone will have to learn about that in history class at some point. Like, think about how wild history classes are gonna be in 20 years. And then the Twitter feud happened. Like, what?
well, it all depends on it, because like I don't know how it was for like non-AP US history courses, but in APUSH we spent so long on like the colonies and the revolution and the Civil War, and then like I like everything post World War II was done
like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And so like I definitely think we need to spend a little less time on the
I mean, post World War II is like, nobody needs to hear about those pesky human rights violations and wars you kept losing and stuff. So it's like, let's just...
I'm pretty sure that my US history lessons ended with the civil rights movement. Like everything after like the 60s was never even covered.
We talked about it mostly because I really like my POS history teacher, Mr. Lee, and then also he was a massive Beatles fan, and like also like a massive music fan in general. So like we would watch. He like showed us after the AP US history test. Hi, buddy, come and say hi. Say hi, Luke.
The Void.
He is an unrepentant little thief. That's what he is. Yeah, so
he's a rebel. Of course
no.
he is.
So Friday night I made muffins, and then yesterday morning I wake up to my grandma being like, Luke, because I'm pretty sure it was him. Someone had knocked over a muffin onto the floor and taken a little itty bitty bite of it, and he's the only one who likes human food. And then again last night, my grandma had some tuna out on the counter, and I'm like upstairs reading, and I hear a Luke, don't. And it turns out he had snuck up onto the counter and started helping himself to some tuna.
Oh, this is why our kitchen door is constantly closed, because Tesla will just go and lift the lid of the biodegradable trash can and help himself for like everything that's in there. Like he's basically like, I will do the job of composting in this house. So we have to constantly like he has no self-preservation. He's diabetic and he just doesn't care. He just
yeah. I came to the conclusion that if my cats were playing D&D, Luke would be a rogue and Leia would probably be a sorcerer, because like she's very sweet and charismatic, but she also has like a little bit of a devious, vengeful side to her. But she's much lazier than Luke and doesn't like. And it isn't quite as like, I'm going to sneak around and get food.
That's kind of great, though.
I feel like my cats, like Hedda would definitely be some sort of like swords, like a barbarian. I feel like she would be a barbarian, because she's the one from our cats who will just like trash everyone.
I'm just imagining this now, like a little old granny barbarian. I love this.
Yes.
It's like Terry Pratchett's Discworld Conan the Barbarian or whatever, but
yes.
Like
I need to draw this. I need to draw Hedda as a human, as a barbarian. Granny Weatherwax, but as a barbarian.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Speaking of the inauguration, Elise mentions the poet Amanda Gorman, which was definitely a highlight of January.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm a little bit upset that they haven't like expedited her poetry collection. It's coming out in September.
Is it?
I saw something for her from pre-order in April on Amazon. Let me double check.
Okay. The news article I was looking at said that both of her books are coming out in September, and I'm like, please, publisher, jump on the moment and move up the publication date, because I want that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little surprised that they didn't do that, like that wasn't part of finding out that she was going to be reading for the inauguration and stuff.
Nobody knew it existed until after Inauguration Day. Like there was nothing on Goodreads or anything, and I was like trying to find out. Like clearly, she must have something coming out.
Huh.
I wish someone had told me that crocheting jersey is super like taxing on the hands.
Do you have compression gloves?
I have, but it's like mostly like for the wrists. So I need
Yeah, it's the fingers that kind of sucks.
yeah I need the like this is what my life has turned into. I'm dreaming of like my partner got me a massage, like one of those muscle massage guns that athletes use for Christmas. So he got me one of those. And now I saw Jen Campbell talk about these like containers that have a pop-up lid.
The OXO containers.
Yes. And I want those because I'm like, I have like my condition keeps like, so basically I have an evolving arthritis basically, which means that at some point in my life I will probably use the mobility of my hands to a huge degree, but like hopefully not in like the next few decades, but like anyway. So I'm constantly like looking at things that will help me maintain mobility and like so that I don't have to carry things or open things or like express a lot of like arm strength on things. So I'm like, this is my life now. I like all the granny stuff.
I keep telling my partner that the decade I am looking forward to the most is being in my 80s, and that I feel like that's going to be like a real sweet spot for me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I am already in my 80s, at least mentally. Like all my interests, like I like to bake, I like to crochet and knit, I like to read. Basically, all of my interests already are ones that technically, like normally, are like reserved for 80-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of other, like if we're going to talk about some politics, like our neighbors decided to detain their opposition leader in Russia. So
Yeah.
that's been fun. And now our like prime minister and president are currently in a little bit of a feud because our president didn't like the way our prime minister handled the social media presence and the situation. Like it's so stupid. Like basically he felt that our prime minister walked over his toes by announcing stuff on social media before he got a chance to talk to Putler.
I think we can all agree that politicians breaking news or whatever on social media first is not the best.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. Like, can we stop doing that? And it's also like, for me, it feels like performative. Like you want to make a quick statement, like I know this thing, but it also feels like very like performative act. Like anyone can go on Twitter and say like I demand the release of this person. It doesn't actually do anything, whereas you could work together with other officials to make some kind of plan to actually get stuff done. But there were like 3,000 people got arrested in a single day for like protesting in Russia.
Wow.
Because they protested.
That's not out of the norm. So
yeah, it's not. But it's like it's kind of like when it happens like next door.
Yeah.
With everything, like with United States politics, it's like well that sucks, but it's like it's happening way over there. So it's like, it's kind of like I keep an eye on it because I have so many friends in the United States. So I want to keep an eye on it that way. But then when stuff happens over here, then it's like it becomes immediate. So it's like.
Sorry, I'm pulling up my my NetGalley because I'm trying to prep for other stuff, I guess.
Were we going to talk about media?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we rant slightly about Farscape, Rhea?
Oh yeah. Oh, that. So me and Rachel have been watching Farscape for the past like 6 or 7 months or so, and we have finally gotten to the second season, and we are about like halfway, a little less than halfway.
A little less than halfway. I think we were both like, oh, it's the second season. They'll have worked out a bunch of the kinks. It's going to be a lot better. The writing will be better. The episodes are all jumbled up.
I swear the last 2 episodes that we watched were some of the worst piece of TV that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my god.
I have seen some horrendous TV in my life. I mean, it's like, it was one of those points where I was like telling Rachel, like, okay, no need to pause. I'm just going to make myself a sandwich because I'm so annoyed that I just can't.
Yeah. Oh my god. One of them was the episode called Crackers Don't Matter. And literally the subplot was that they bought a whole bunch of crackers and then they were just like eating them
while
in the
being
background
off at each other over nothing.
And like the only good thing about that was the moment where Erin like pulls a cracker out of her cleavage and eats it. And I was like,
that was literally the only good thing about the episode. I love this. Just for Claudia Black, that's what I did. Yes, that's what I'm doing as well.
And speaking of Erin, the other one was the Chiana, like goes off to deal with her depressive grief by falling in with a weird cult that wants everyone to eat magic mushrooms.
Yes.
And like Erin is just in the background watching Crichton. He's just like so judgmental and he's trying to interfere with everything. And Erin's just watching him like, what are you doing?
I love that.
Just leave.
I love that he Erin at one point just calls Crichton out about eating the magic mushroom and getting high as a kite. She was like, you ate it and you thought that was gonna help. Which was like, like Claudia Black basically like voicing what everyone else is thinking. Like what the viewer is thinking, essentially.
Yeah. But it was
I feel like that's all of Farscape, though, is like...
There are some genuinely like funny and interesting things in the television show, but that was 2 straight hours of our life. We will never get back. And it was like so cringy in places. And I was surprised because there's an episode in the first season which is pretty much famous for they made a whole commentary coming in and saying we know this came across as basically racist. There's like a special on the DVD where they like have a special commentary track for it about talking about how it went so wrong. And I'm like, so you never addressed the stuff in season 2, which is pretty much the same thing and terribly written.
Also, I didn't watch the so on season 1, the episode that you just referenced, I watched it basically I muted the episode and I then just overlaid the commentary on top of it so that I knew the context of what they were talking about. And watching that commentary and that episode, I still think that episode was more watchable than the episodes that we watched last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also think that those episodes were like you're not gonna address the teenage pregnancy and teenage cult thing at all.
Yeah.
Also, this weird, like, the way that all the alien, like, basically in that episode when Rigel robs the graves there.
Oh my god, he's a literal grave robber. Yes.
Yeah, and all of the like the masks and everything are like African inspired. It's like, you know, alien cultures. It's kind of like, okay.
Huh. So Zach
It's
and
like-
I have been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's like that series really shows its age, like that it's like 20 years old. And
I was going to say that in contrast, Zach and I have been watching Lovecraft Country, and I think I'm in love with it. I didn't ever read it, but like watching the show has been really enjoyable.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see a lot of things. And
Yeah,
I
we
still
broke
haven't-
down and got HBO Max because we're normally big movie theater goers, and they're going to do simultaneous release with like Warner Brothers stuff. So we were like, we should watch this.
I still haven't watched the second season of Mandalorian. I keep asking partner like, can we watch the second season of Mandalorian, please? When will we watch that? When will we watch Expanse? And
have you started The Expanse yet?
No, because he's in which I understand because I'm the same way. Like when I get excited about a thing, I get obsessed with it. So I understand because like he has gotten obsessed with the idea that he will brute force his way into learning Japanese in like a couple of months in order to read some light novels that he ordered from Japan. He doesn't know Japanese yet. But he has been practicing every day now for hours. And I keep telling him that language learning doesn't work that way. You can't necessarily brute force your way into fluency, but I mean, you know, it's kind of cute. Oh no, I dropped something. So basically, because he hasn't wanted to watch Mandalorian or Expanse with me, I've been watching anime instead. And I binged watched the entirety of the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is basically kind of like Yu Yu Hakusho, but modern day. It's basically like sorcerers, like exorcists essentially, fighting against curses that have become like beings, like basically the negative emotions of people result in animating these curses, like they become people that are bent on like evil, and these exorcists have to like exorcise these curses so that they don't hurt people. And it's so good! It's so good! Like, I can't!
Well, I have been watching The Expanse. There are 8 episodes out now, and there are going to be 10 in season 5. So 2 more weeks to go. I've been really enjoying it, especially any scene with Drummer.
Drummer is like, I love Drummer. She's great.
Now, I may be wrong about this, but I think that Drummer in the TV series is kind of like an amalgamation of 2 female characters, one of whom was actually called Drummer in the book series, and one of them was somebody else. She was the one who was in the like polyamorous family. If anybody else has read the books and can remember this better than me, please chime in. But I'm pretty sure that character, Pau, was that her name? Pau? Is combined with Drummer, and I was really happy to see that in this season they kind of brought that in, like the Drummer's crew is kind of like that big happy polyamorous family, and you've got Oksana is her love interest in that. I think I've been liking that,
and I do think Lisa's right that this is the second to last season.
Yes, which makes sense. I was talking to you about this, Rhea, before. I think that Season 6 is going to coincide with obviously book 6, and that's the end of the second trilogy in the trilogy of trilogies.
Yes.
So it seems like it might be a logical end to the series before the really big time jump between books 6 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they are gonna adapt the rest of the series, it is safer to do it when all the books are out. And also, like, did the last book come out already?
It's slated for October this year, I think.
Okay, but I feel like if they're gonna adapt it, it's like, you know, they could just recast the whole show basically, and just like get older actors because there's that time skip.
Yeah, and they are, the way they're adapting it, they're making the television show more of its own thing. It's not completely adhering to the books too, so.
Which is like, I have like, this is the thing, I have never had no interest in reading the Expanse books, but I love the TV show. I love it so much. And I'm probably not going to read the books because I'm just happy with the TV show.
I read the first book and it was okay, but it's the one that Renee, when she made her primer list, recommended reading after the second book because she's like, there's nothing in the first book that you can't learn from the second book, and the second book is so much better than the first book.
I feel like the first book has a different feel to it, probably because it has a lot of Miller in it, and he's the detective. So it really has this detective mystery vibe to it. And then after the first trilogy, Miller's not really around anymore. And that's when I started to really enjoy it, was around book 4. Like, it really came into its own.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, especially like with Miller. I have to say that Miller is the worst. like even in the TV show. In the TV show, I found him by the end to be a little more sympathetic.
I liked him better in the TV show, yeah.
But even in the TV show, he's like he's off his rocker. Like, he gets obsessed with a woman he's never met. He falls in love with her. He's never met this woman. He just falls in love with the idea of her.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Apparently, Ron disagrees with us, though.
I would love to hear Ron's take.
Yes.
Ron's take on this, because I am like I am in the team that thinks that Miller would have been a better character if he didn't get his cream on.
I know that some people love the first couple of books, like they're really, really into them. And I mean, I kind of think that the reason I didn't love the first trilogy is probably because I'm not really into that noir feel, which I think Elise called it space noir. And I just didn't get along with the zombie kind of aspect.
In the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did not like the first Expanse book at all, and I dropped it after that because I was like, this is not...
It's after the first trilogy where they kind of, like, that's the story arc with the proto-molecule in the first trilogy, and then they kind of start introducing new things after that. Okay, so Ron loves Miller.
I mean, you can love Miller.
Okay, I would agree with that. He's comparing Miller's cynicism with Holden's like white knighting optimism, I guess, or whatever. which is a good dynamic.
Yeah,
I will say that Miller and Holden are kind of like foils to each other, and they're also kind of like sides of the same coin in a sense. Like, for example, like Holden's optimism and white knighting in Miller turns into this need to protect the victim of the crime, essentially, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I just, like I said, I think for me, I didn't really like Miller's POV, and I found how the series expressed time made it really difficult, and how that first book expressed time made it difficult for me to follow along. And like, it's been a few years. Like, it's been, I think I read in 2015. So like, and I do want to read the rest of the series because like, I know folks really love it. It's just that first book was not for me. You want to come over here, buddy?
Yes, he does.
He's thinking about
we haven't had good cat content on this.
Let's say, where's Tesla? Tesla usually appears.
I mean, I can go and like lately he has been supervising him. We have dubbed him the supervisor, or the foreman. He likes to be in my partner's office, watching him work. He has his own special chair there.
I'm waiting for Mosfet to like get the zoomies and come racing in up the back of your chair.
It is Hedda who does that. Hedda races the back of my chair. Mosfet is usually the one who chases him there. Her there.
Leia was showing her tail earlier, but she's currently sitting behind me, and I don't feel like disturbing her because I'm afraid she's gonna.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. In terms of me for media, I finally started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation because it's actually I think aside from I've actually seen like a decent chunk of Enterprise because my sister weirdly enough loves it, and we watched it when it was airing, kind of.
Yeah.
But Next Generation is one that I've only seen like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of. Like I've seen the movies. So I started watching from the beginning, and folks are not lying when they say the first season is rough. Like
the first season is rough.
It's very rough. So I'm still not done with it yet. I'm very slowly making my way through. I finished the first season of DuckTales, which is great. Hi, buddy.
The new one. The new one with Tennant?
Yeah. The first season, like, it's very good. And they get Catherine Tate to voice Magica Dispel. And it's so good because, like, I'm so used to her being, like, you know, Donna or, like, slightly, you know, kind of goofy and funny. And, like, she still has her funny moments, but she also does, like, Sinister very, very well. And you also have Allison Janney as Scrooge McDuck's love interest / nemesis, Goldie Gilhart.
I love that.
And she's also great because, you know, it's Allison Janney. She's always amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one question though.
Yeah.
Is Magica the spell the witch duck with the black hair?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know her by a different name, so that's why I had to ask.
Yeah, but I haven't started season 2 yet, but like I said, it's very, very good. I highly recommend it. It gives me a lot of great, you know, like found family feels, and the voice acting superb. And then I finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Well,
I mostly enjoyed it. I have some issues that I won't get into because of spoilers. But yeah, I am looking forward to the DLCs to see what happens. I am fully expecting it to be very ahistorical. Because the first DLC is like Rage of the Druids, and when Valhalla takes place, Ireland was already very, very Catholic.
Oh yeah.
Like they were like a center for Catholicism, like when England was still very pagan.
Yep.
But it was I mostly enjoyed it. A few small quibbles. There's like an entire quest line where like you have to dress up as the Mary Lwyd. And I was sharing that with my friend who like specializes in medieval Welsh. And she's just like, that's the most ahistorical thing I've ever heard. Just there's a bird over there. That's why.
I mean,
but yeah, like I don't expect like super authenticity from my time travel via genetics stabby game.
I mean, I have to say that I am just impressed that Assassin's Creed managed to make that premise and make a whole friggin' franchise out of it. After, like, nobody liked the first game. Like, I'm in the minority when I say that the first game, I really enjoyed it. Everyone else was like, the first game sucks. But when Ezio comes in, that's when the magic happens. And I'm like, I could care two shits about Ezio. Altair is my bae.
I've only played Odyssey and Valhalla, but I own some of the other ones that I've grabbed on sale, so I think I might go back and play some of them. But yeah,
I mean, the first one is like super short because they were experimenting on a new engine for like programming and stuff, and it was at the time done by a relatively small studio. So that's probably the biggest quibble that people had, is like you can basically play the whole main game in like 4 hours.
Well, and see, for me, I will say I'm a little hesitant to start like a really big game right now, because the rumors are that the Mass Effect remaster is coming out in mid-March, and like
mid-March.
I think it's March 12th. That's when people are saying it's coming out. And like,
have they even shown any screenshots?
No.
Like, or is it just like an open secret?
No, they've officially announced that it's coming. They announced it on N7 Day that the remaster is coming out, and it's going to have all the games, all the DLC, a lot of like the exclusive promo stuff in it. Okay. But they haven't announced when it's coming out, and I think it's because there was some reporting that they were having some problems, that like updating the first Mass Effect was taking longer than expected. So I think what they want to do is make sure they have enough of it done where they can guarantee the release date instead of pushing it back.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in the middle of a game and have Mass Effect come out, because I know that I will drop everything to start replaying Mass Effect. So yeah, I'm just like, I want to play Assassin's Creed Origins. I want to like get back into actually, I think what I might do is get back into The Witcher, because I only have the DLCs left, and I think I can get that done.
Maybe this remaster will finally give me the excuse to actually play and complete Mass Effect, because when I played Mass Effect, I stopped after the tutorial because I got too scared because of the space zombies. I'm a complete wuss. The space zombies were too scary for me.
So don't be embarrassed, because I'm going to tell you my most embarrassing video game story, which is I was in high school. I was babysitting for a 3-year-old who loved Minecraft. I didn't realize that there was like an adventure mode and a creative mode. So I just like blew through the start screen. And when one of the zombies popped up, I literally screamed, threw the controller across the screen, and turned off the TV. So you are always in a safe space with me.
I mean, I have done that as well, like the creepers and all the other things. Like Minecraft is not my favorite in general. Like if I want sort of like a survival creative game, I prefer Don't Starve. Mm-hmm. But Don't Starve also makes me scream. Whenever I stumble upon the spider nests in Don't Starve, I'm like, no! And here's the thing: if you don't kill the spiders, they will make more nests, and if the nests gets large enough, it will wake up and become a huge spider queen that will start roaming around the map. But I hate killing the small spider nests because they are scary and they hiss at you. If you go and hit them with a spade, they will be like, and it's like scary.
Has anyone else been watching WandaVision at all?
Yes.
I want to watch it.
I'm all caught up.
Okay.
I don't mind spoilers on WandaVision, because
I don't want to get super spoilery though, just because like it is, but I will say it's very good, and like they do they like do so much well with like setting it in the period that like when you have the things that are off there that are just like slightly off, it just adds to it being like so creepy.
Yeah.
Hearing about Dick Van Dyke consulting on it and then like not understanding that like Marvel was a popular big deal thing is just like
That was so great. That I loved that like little aspect of it. It was just so funny.
it was very good.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Okay. I'll be interested to talk later when more of us are on board.
Yes.
Like I have some like I will just say I'm wondering if we're going to be getting a fake because like they're heavily teasing like one reason why things are happening and I'm wondering if that's a red herring just because it seems I'll DM you later. I'm wondering if something is a red herring or not.
Yeah, and I'm very confused by some of the pacing of the story, but I can't decide if that's just me or if it's I don't know.
I was just talking to like Maya the other day about that series, and I was just like, I don't care whatever happens in the show, other than I'm just glad they're finally figuring out how to do Wanda's powers correctly, because I was so miffed about it during the movies because they tried to kind of give her the psychological witchy powers, reality alternating powers in the Age of Ultron, and then she just becomes the red laser hand lady, and I'm like, but that's her whole power set is so cool, and you ruins it.
I will say, so each episode is kind of set in its own decade of like sitcomness.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner never watched The Partridge Family, and he was like, "This isn't Brady Bunch." And I was like, "That's because they're doing The Partridge Family."
Yeah,
I mean,
David Cassidy.
I wonder if like a lot of it is going to just fly over my head because I am not familiar with American sitcoms.
Yeah, like it's very heavily drawn from American sitcoms, but I think it also like they also talk about like it from the like I read some stuff from the production standpoint, and it just sounds so cool. Like they were using like when they were filming the black and white episodes, they had to paint Paul Bettany blue instead of red because they were filming in black and white instead of converting, like doing post-filming conversion. And when they were doing the test, the red wasn't showing up right. So they had to use blue instead. And then like for all of Wanda's magic tricks, they were using like strings and puppetry and all of that to like get the effects. I just find that stuff really, really cool.
That is some of the stuff I find really interesting about like behind the scenes of shows like that. Yeah.
I'm just like 60s like movie magic where things like jump cut to like there was this the genie show.
Oh, I Dream of
Genie.
Yeah. I just like that's the only one I know. And also was it Bewitched where the housewife is a witch.
Yeah, so the first episode is very much like an homage, like the Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy. And then the second episode, which is in the 60s, is more like Bewitched.
Mm.
And then like Brie was saying with the third one, it's like Partridge Family, a little bit of the Brady Bunch, but more Partridge Family.
Yeah. And I don't know that you need to like catch all of the like you don't need to catch all of the references for it to be worth watching. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just like it adds to the unreality of it, like just that you know something is very off, but like it. I don't know. I enjoy it, and I don't think like I said, I agree with Brie. You don't need to catch everything. My grandfather
WandaVision...
asking me is like, is this set in the 50s? Like I'm watching it in the main room and he keeps asking about that.
That's adorable.
I was trying to explain Wanda and Vision to my 70s some odd year old grandfather.
That's cute. I'm wondering, like, is WandaVision going to be is it going to be like
I think it's a mini
multiple
series.
seasons?
I think it's a mini series, not an ongoing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding.
Well, that explains the budget, which is huge.
Well, it's not like Disney isn't richer than God.
I know. I wish the richer than God would translate to something else than hoarding intellectual properties, like a obsessed media dragon.
I mean, at this point, they're just desperate to get new content up onto Disney Plus,
and get subscribers,
and get subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very cute.
Okay, I need to go and fetch a cat because I am everyone has left me. There's no cats here. So I will go and fetch one.
I tucked my cats away in the bedroom because to the side over here is my big sewing projects, and Soren loves to help, which would be great if he were good at helping. So he's just not. It's appreciated, but he's not good at helping. So he is in the back rooms.
Yeah, Luke doesn't play with you. He gets very aggressive, no knit, only cuddle. Leia's the one who'll try and play with my yarn as I'm knitting.
Soren goes back and forth. If he is sleeping on my lap, I can knit for hours. But if he is not yet asleep, I don't even try. Where's Ava today?
She is asleep on my bed in the other room.
Aww. Oh, we have a cat.
I have returned from my cat fetching adventure.
He's like, why am I here? What is going on?
You are here to sit on the new cat bed and test it out. Is it to the liking of your rump?
I've thought about making Ava a bed, but she turns everything else into a bed. So no. Oh, she heard me talking and now she's here.
She heard her name.
Aww.
Ava is like, yes, bed for me. Well, he's not moving, so I think the cat bed is a success.
It would appear to be so, yes.
Okay, now he moves. Tesla is like, I don't do tricks on command. I will not perform. He did this thing again today, where he came to our bed when I was sleeping, and started licking my hair. I don't understand why he does that. None of our other cats do that. But
He thinks you're smelly.
I don't know. He just, you are in bed. I will lick your hair because that seems to wake you up.
Silly kitty.
Silly cat face. Okay. Andrea's comment is great.
I mean, where's
Smash
the lie?
that like button. Tell all your friends and family.
Oh, is there a bird out there, buddy? Luke abandoned me.
Oh, look.
Okay, Tesla, I understand that you like standing there, but I need to actually finish it before you can sleep there. There are still a few rows to go. So we have about half an hour to go. Do we want to talk about what we are expecting for February, or the next month. Any new releases piquing your interest?
My brain has gone completely blank.
I have some stuff through NetGalley that I need to actually sit down and read.
Oh, new Becky Chambers is next month.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's coming out right for my birthday, and I'm like, I know what I'm going to do
from Book Depository, because all my edition, like all the ones that I have, are the really pretty space ones.
Yeah.
I got in Canada, and I really don't like the American covers.
Every time I see the American covers, I'm like, no.
Why did you do this? And why did you stick with it after she became popular? When you,
Also, Soulstorm by C.L. Polk comes out next month. It's the last in the Witchmark books.
I need to read Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk.
I really want to get to that. Yeah.
It's a Canada Reads finalist, which is very exciting.
Also, I need to read Sorrowland by River Solomon because I got a digital arc of it, and I'm like, I must.
When does it come out?
I think it's summer.
Yeah,
it's like spring, summertime, second quarter, I think. But like next month, the Becky Chambers one is one I'm waiting for, because I'm like, the moment it comes out, I'm going to zoom in to my bookstore and get one.
Yeah. So Becky Chambers, also the new Aliette de Bodar book. The Fireheart Daughter. Oh, and obviously the next Star Wars The High Republic novel comes out by Claudia Gray, which is not like Claudia Gray writing Star Wars is an automatic buy for me. Like her stuff is always
she's so good at it.
Nothing will top. Like I'm still out sitting here waiting for the sequel to Lost Stars.
I just like, I'm so overwhelmed by all of the good books or potentially good books coming out this year, like the P. Jelly Clark full-length novel.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's on my.
Also, Desolation Called Peace.
Pre-ordered.
Yes. I try not to pre-order stuff because I've been burned before, but like I did pre-order Desolation Called Peace. I need it. I need
almost everything. So when I did my anticipated releases for the first quarter of this year, almost every single thing I had already pre-ordered. And I'm like, this is a bit much, but they're all books and series that I already know I love, or they're by authors that are like just flat out auto buy. So yeah, it's gonna be a good year for books.
Yeah.
I'm ready for another really good year. I feel like I feel
like there's a lot of good books that came out in 2020, but it was just like such a bad year that it was hard for me to read like I did read some new releases, but it was still it was just difficult to read things that weren't like comfort reads.
Yeah.
I have
for comment, Sarah Gailey does have a new book called The Echo Wife. I don't know what its release date is, but I know that it's been available as an electronic review copy for a while.
I also want to read it because it sounds incredibly wacky.
Well, also, I just love everything Sarah Gailey does.
I haven't read Sarah Gailey, but I know some friends like mostly enjoyed Magic for Liars, but had like some issues about like the school component of it. So I don't know.
I mean, I have only read the first Hippo book, and I loved the first Hippo book. So
I think my problem, and this kind of like goes back to my ongoing issue with Tor's marketing, is like for Upright Woman Wanted, it was like done as like outlaw librarians fighting the patriarchy, and then I want to say it was Gin Jenny who read it. And she's like, yeah, it opens with the main character's lover getting hanged, which, you know,
it was much darker than they insinuated it was going to be.
Which I feel like is an ongoing trend with how Tor markets its books, where they market everything. Sorry,
as a fun romp.
As a fun romp, and it is not. And
that being said, I did really, really like Uprooted or
Upright Women Wanted.
Yes.
I feel like I've been burned enough by like how Tor markets. I'm just so I don't trust their marketing at all, which I find to be like disappointing because I think, and I know others feel the same, where the marketing doesn't match they don't give you good content warnings.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like, I don't know if it's because I have become so desensitized to everything because of the type of stuff that I read, like Berserk and other stuff where it's like grim dark to the grim dark. That it's just like like maybe it's just like, you know, having read so much like manga and watched so much anime where the things that are targeted towards teenagers and children are sometimes more violent than things that are targeted towards adults in the Western media.
But it's not even that. It's just I find that, like, with Amberlo, for example, they're like, oh, it's like cabaret, it's gay, it's a nightclub. And I think, like, the cabaret stuff is accurate, but it's, like, the dark side of cabaret that, like, isn't the collective. Like, it's the side that this is taking
Moulin Rouge, right? Like,
during the rise of Nazis.
Oh, my God. But, yeah, the way that goes is, like, fascism. And you get to the end of the book, and it's like, oh, my God, this got forward.
And it's
also,
like,
I love that
really
book.
the fact that the content is dark, or the fact that there's like difficult things in the books. It's just that they've just decided to market everything as a delightful romp, and I find that really misleading and has the potential to really hurt potential readers who might be going into something wanting something light and fun, but then getting, and I'm going to use Amberlo as an example again, instead getting a book that is all about documenting the rise of fascism.
Yeah.
I mean, so probably the reason why I haven't read book 2 in that series over, like, how many years has it been? I own it. I haven't read it because, like, for the last 4 years, I kind of don't want to read something that might mirror what's happening in my own country.
Yeah, and so
if you're going to market it as a fun romp, it better be, because I need actual escapism.
And, like, this is kind of, and it, like, yeah, I don't trust Tor's marketing. I get really annoyed with their AO3 tags because I feel like those are more describing tropes than actual tags. Because I feel, and this is something that I've talked about with other folks, and Audrey at Nerds of a Feather has wrote in her column about the marketing for Docile and for First Like Ashes, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How how they use it, like AO3 tags, in like the way it's like describing tropes, but not in the way of like content warning tags. And so I'm also just very over how Tor has co-opted AO3 tags, and I think in a disingenuous way. I don't know. I'm very over Tor's marketing, and I feel like at some point I'm just gonna like do a whole video ranting about, like, talking about it, because I feel like it's just, like I said, very disingenuous and potentially hurtful. And
I would watch a video about that.
I mean, a good chunk of it is probably going to be about Docile and how irresponsibly that book was marketed.
I mean, I was kind of wanting to read Docile, and what are you doing? No. I lost my train of thought. Apparently docile is not that important. So
I have thought of doing an I've read docile so you don't have to video.
Audrey did that. This is like my, and I'm gonna be honest, this is my deepest fear that 2020 is gonna strike back and docile is gonna end up on the short list, and then I'll like end up reading it. That's like my deep
shocked though, because I've heard almost nothing about that book except for people explaining why it's
yeah. Well, and I think
I've only heard like one person say that it's good.
Well, and like the Nerds of a Feather review, I think did a very good job kind of detailing some of the one of the problems with it. Yeah, and they're doing the marketing again with
Spar's new book. Yeah.
It's like First Like Ashes or something. And I'm gonna be, I do like, after hearing about how badly Docile did not handle race and did not discuss like the legacy of American slavery, particularly for a book set in Baltimore, in a state that like barely didn't join the Confederacy. Like, just, I don't trust him to handle something like cults in a very good way.
As opposed to like that, like, torture porny way.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, N.K. Jemisin did say some good things, but I've heard some, like, read reviews talking about how, again, it just does not engage with the legacy of slavery, and it mishandles race really badly. So anyway, the Too Long Don't Read is I don't trust Tor's marketing. I find it really irresponsible at times. And yeah, Tor, please get it together.
That's what TLDR means?
Too Long Don't Read.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I learned something new today.
That's maybe the most adorable thing that has happened on this stream.
I just like always, I've been using TLDR myself, like I just like abbreviation of the thing, but I don't even know where it came from or what it means. That's so weird.
Oh, another good thing about 2021 is that I think the last book in the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer has a real publication date now. So,
Ada Palmer.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to reread
the stuff she starts, unlike some other authors. Like, I saw that someone had once again put Winds of Winter on the list of publications for this year, and I'm like,
no one will believe a publication date for Winds of Winter, or what is that? What's his name? The King Killer Chronicles, their book. Nobody's going to actually believe that the book is out until they're holding a copy of it and making sure that the pages aren't blank.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is just me kind of being mean and petty about last year's Hugos. I honestly do not believe that we're ever going to get that series finished. Like,
yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised.
I don't think we're ever going to.
I can always hope. I mean, at this point, I have invested so much of my life on that series.
I think I finished A Storm of Swords, and then I never got around to reading A Feast for Crows, and then I had them on my shelf, and then the combination of the Hugo Losers Party and then last year's Hugos happened, and I'm like, I think I'm going to get some valuable shelf space back.
I mean,
my partner and I were in the car on the way from like a day trip when the Hugos were going on, when the actual ceremony was happening this last time. And even he was like, wow, this is a lot of talking and not a lot of awards. And I was like, yes. He's like, is this how it always is? I was like,
nope.
No, but also kinda. Like
it is 3 somewhat hours of my life I'm never getting back.
I think that
I mean, I am probably going to nominate Chelsea's when the
Oh, yeah,
Toastmaster
I'm
talks
not-
less
that, and I'm also
related
nominating
work.
Natalie Lohr's essay about it for best related work.
I would say any future Worldcon bid that can promise me that they're like going to bring back John Boccaccio as the Toastmaster, I'd be
Or
like,
Karen
I'm on
Lord.
that. You have my vote.
Also, Karen Lord as the Toastmaster in was it 2017? I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah,
I take Karen Lord again, please. She was great.
I didn't get to watch the entire Helsinki ceremony because the live stream.
The live stream was wonky.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most shameful thing for a land that gave you SSH connections and IRC. We still fucked up the technical component of the awards show. Ay ay ay.
Do they have who's supposed to be? Sorry, I'm gonna pull up the Discon website.
Malka Older and Sherry Renee Thomas.
Yes, that's what I
I
see.
think that will be good.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that will be
Also-
a good pairing.
Did anybody else see the news that Sherry Renee Thomas is going to be the new editor of the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction?
Really?
No.
That's
Seriously,
exciting, though.
like that came out of left field, and I was like, "Wow, I might actually re-up my subscription."
That's really
Yeah,
exciting.
that's
That I was not expecting that.
huh. I need to get my supporting membership because I don't know that I'm gonna wind up going if. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just don't think I'm gonna wind up being able to go.
Yeah, I have my supporting membership, and part of it is that I don't know if I'll be able to, because I do want to go back east for Christmas and visit my family, and I don't know if I'll be able to do like 2 trips out east in December. Unless like, and I don't think this is gonna happen unless Discon is close to the holidays, and then I could like work remotely, see if I could work remotely for
Yeah.
part of it, and like just spend a couple weeks out east. But other than that, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be surprised.
I have-
this year.
I have attending membership because honestly, like even if I don't end up going, it's like attending membership, supporting membership. I'm just on the off chance that it's gonna happen and I get to go. It's nice to have an attending membership, but I don't mind if I don't end up going.
Yeah,
Which is fair.
I'm in the
But
same boat.
Chicago 2022, we are all
Oh, for sure.
That's Chicago, right?
Yeah. Also,
Which is super
2024
doable.
better be Scotland. It better be Scotland in 2024.
I think it will be. I don't know who are they running against in 2024.
I didn't think they were running against
Sure.
anybody else for that year. Time to go refresh my memory on Worldcon. But
I know
I
that
know, me too.
2023 is, I think, Chengdu and Memphis.
yep
Yeah.
that means we're voting on 2023
this year.
this year.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna vote on Chengdu.
Glasgow is running unopposed.
Yeah, that's good.
I've really liked Glasgow's presence so far. I usually don't follow bids until voting year, but they've been
They've done a lot to really try to make sure that
yeah.
they're at the forefront of that conversation. And
Also, they made their own yarn. Yeah.
Yes.
I've also met some of the people behind the bid, and I'm very confident in their capacity to pull it off.
Also,
Yeah, and then Shannon
there
was saying
need to be yarn people in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And
my
Hannah-
gosh, there's a Brisbane bid for 2025.
oh my god. So Seattle would be nice because Seattle's close to me, but going to Australia would be great too.
I know, I need a
I
reason to go to
I have relatives in Brisbane.
I also
I have many relatives in Brisbane. I could just call up and say, "Hey, can can I and a couple of friends come hang out at your house? I know we haven't talked for a while, but
I would just say that 2023, if Chengdu did win, which I think is a long shot at this point, if it did, I don't know anybody who would want to go necessarily. We should just like do the New Zealand trip.
I mean, considering how
I will say for 2022,
had...
I am planning on saving my money to hopefully go to the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand.
The whole thing about Chengdu is
unless
that...
like the fates align and Worldcon aligns with the Women's World Cup.
That would be really cool.
But
I also I feel bad for, I mean, just kind of like in general the region, because it like got kind of shafted this year when it was going to be like the first year and however many that Worldcon was down in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like the kind of mess up, like the shit show with the programming, and then the Hugos, and
so I wanted to know when is Saudi Arabia going to run again?
There's a Jeddah bid for 2026.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're running against 3 other bids though. And 2 of them are US based?
Yeah, LA and
2026.
Orlando.
Yeah.
I will say that I would rather go to Orlando than LA.
I mean, I'd be down for all of us sitting on the beach and also like Harry Potter
Orlando
World.
is not by the beach.
I wouldn't go to Harry Potter World though.
Orlando is like in the center of Florida. So like you have Disney World, which I will 110% go to Disney World because
I will go to Disney World. I want to festoon Mickey ears and stuff, even though I keep telling people how much I hate that Disney owns half the planet, but still.
The new Super Mario Land will be open. And there's going to be one in Orlando.
Yeah. I will say it depends, because like I feel like LA and Orlando are like very different like how summers can go, because Orlando is going to be humid. Like it's going to be really gross. Whereas LA, it'll probably be on the muggier side. Like it'll be more of a drier heat, and less humid. I also feel like Disneyland is, unless it's in Anaheim, you're not going to be super close to Disneyland. Because Anaheim, the convention center there is literally like a 5 to 10 minute walk from Disneyland. But with LA, like you do have Koreatown, which we could all go and get Korean barbecue.
We could go to the Science Center.
Yeah.
And I think their outbuilding for the space shuttle, where they're going to have it in the position of launch, is going to be done by then.
Oh,
I want this.
So cool.
You also have LACMA, which is great. The Getty, yeah.
I love the Getty.
I will say, like, if I'm voting, I will probably go for LA over Orlando, just like partially because LA is closer to me and I can just crash with my dad for a while. But also I feel like where LA is, like, I feel like there's more stuff to do, and like LA actually does have a fairly a fairly decent metro system now.
Well, and I feel
I feel pretty confident that between me and Di that we would get to see everything that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And like I said, we are definitely doing Korean barbecue. Like that is my dad lives in Koreatown, and there's like a lot of really good Korean barbecue where he lives.
Korean barbecue is like, it's so good. Like Korean barbecue and Japanese barbecue, I don't know which I love the best. Like Korean barbecue has like the spiciness, whereas like Japanese barbecue is like just delicious deluxe meat.
Like, please tell me there's a tofu option.
They do have vegetarian options.
We're not going to make you eat meat, Rachel.
Yeah. Like meat, all the meat is for me.
Yes.
There's also, so Shannon said Santa Monica Boulevard. You also have the Long Beach Aquarium, which again, accessible via the metro. It is a longer ride from like downtown LA, but you can get there via public transit. And the
Also,
aquarium.
there's so many viable shops in like anime shops and stuff in LA. That I know.
Oh man. Now I'm just fantasizing about us all being together and hanging out and eating tasty, tasty foods.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what
I would
I'm
honestly take a
fantasizing
couple of weeks
about.
off and just like vacation in LA, just like to see all of you, but also like hang with my dad, and go to Disney, obviously.
Well, yeah, my grandmother is in the Anaheim area, and so I'm quite familiar and would love to spend time with them. So,
If anyone, like if we do LA for 2026, if anyone like wants good craft beer recommendations, let me know, because like I have I can get you the good hookups.
Nice. Should we? This is a lovely high note. Should we wrap?
I think we should.
Yes, it is. It is 11 p.m. where I am, so it is a good note for me to end on, to go to sleep and dream about seeing everyone again. So, what is coming on the agenda for each and every one of you, starting with Dai?
I might try and do a review of the 4 Profound Weaves. It honestly depends on if I can get some alone time in this house. But I definitely am planning on doing like a general January wrap up and a January book haul coming up. So, and you can find me at Bookish Die pretty much everywhere.
Brie?
So I'm going to be doing, and it's super late, but my goals for 2021 video should be coming out soon. And then I did want to do, I should be doing a video that's a review of The Moon Over Crusted Snow, which we read last year together, Rhea
Yes.
and I. TLDR, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
And then I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm doing a no-buy challenge for February. And so I figured I'd do a video on that.
I like that idea.
Yeah. And yes, I'm Bree Reads Books everywhere.
What about you, Rachel? You coming off a break soon?
Not probably until the end of February, so I have nothing really coming up for me anytime soon. I'm on vacation.
Nice.
And that is great. Vacation is much appreciated and highly valued.
That's a well-deserved one.
Yes. On my channel, the next thing you should be seeing is a video of me recommending books that I did not like, but might work for somebody else. And also my TBR video for February will be coming out if I manage to get it filmed.
Try to work Black Sun into that.
What?
So try to work Black Sun into that.
I will try. I already have one book that I'm planning to buddy read with Shannon that I already need to like work into it. But the way that it is structured is basically so that I will only choose a couple of books with the TBR game, and then I will have flexibility for the rest of my reads, which is much less of a hassle than what I had previously. So yeah, it's hopefully it's gonna be great. But yeah, so you can find us everywhere where we are. I don't know. You can find us on the social media platforms of your choice.
There are links somewhere in the description.
There are links on the description thing. Next month we will be on someone else's channel. We will
on
talk
Bree's
about
channel.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, we are on Bree's channel next month. So yeah, happy Sunday, happy rest of the week, happy rest of the January. It was great that you joined us. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.